Dr. Sarah Chen stood frozen before the massive viewscreen aboard the International Space Station's new Quantum Observatory module. The readings couldn't be right. She'd checked them 3 times already, but the numbers refused to change. The anomaly approaching Earth's orbit wasn't natural. It was decelerating. "Houston, are you seeing this?" Her voice remained steadied, despite her racing heart. 20 years of astrophysics research hadn't prepared her for this moment. The response came after an unusually long pause. "Affirmative, Dr. Chen. Multiple ground stations are now tracking the object. Current velocity suggests controlled deceleration. We're initiating first contact protocols." Sarah almost laughed. First contact protocols were theoretical exercises, documents gathering dust in some government vault. Now they were about to be tested against reality. The object grew larger on her screen, sleek and crystalline, its surface rippling with colors that shouldn't exist in vacuum. As it matched orbit with the station, Sarah realized it was wounded. Great gashes marred its hull, and what looked like scorch marks scared its elegant form. A signal penetrated the station's communications array, resolving itself into a voice that seemed to echo from within Sarah's own mind. "We seek sanctuary." The words carried exhaustion and desperation in equal measure. They followed close behind. Within hours, Earth's major powers convened an emergency session of the UN Security Council. Sarah found herself transported from the peaceful solitude of orbit to a room thick with tension and competing agendas. The alien vessel's occupants, the Lissani, they called themselves, had shared their story. They were refugees, fleeing from an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. The hegemony, they called it, ruled through technological superiority and ruthless efficiency. Worlds that resisted were made examples of. The Lissani had refused to surrender their children to be repurposed as servants of the empire. Now they ran, carrying with them technological secrets stolen from their oppressors. "We cannot shelter them," the Russian representative argued. "This hegemony clearly possesses technology far beyond our own. To harbor their enemies would be suicide. To turn away those seeking asylum from tyranny would betray everything we stand for." The French delegate countered. "If we abandon our principles at first contact, what hope do we have of being worthy of the stars?" Sarah listened to the debate rage, her mind racing through calculations. The Lissani had shared preliminary data about hegemony capabilities. The tech gap was vast, but not insurmountable. More importantly, the Lissani understood their oppressors' weaknesses. When called upon to speak, Sarah stood slowly. "The hegemony will come whether we shelter the Lissani or not," she began. "Their database shows a clear pattern. They view any civilization with space capability as a potential threat to be subjugated or eliminated. We're already on their list. The only question is whether we face them alone or with allies who understand their vulnerabilities." She gestured to the holographic display, showing the hegemony's expansion over centuries. "They expect submission or feudal resistance. They've never encountered humanity. We've spent our entire history doing the impossible, breaking barriers, defying limits, refusing to accept our supposed limitations. The Lissani didn't come to us by chance. They came because they recognized something in us that the hegemony has forgotten. The power of determination in the face of overwhelming odds." The chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. "Dr. Chen makes a compelling point. We face a choice not between peace and war, but between facing the storm prepared or blind. I move that we grant the Lissani asylum and begin immediate preparation for the challenges ahead." The vote wasn't unanimous, but it was decisive. As Sarah left the chamber, she felt the weight of history settling around them all. Humanity had just taken its first true step into a larger universe, and there would be no turning back. In orbit, the Lissani vessel's wounds slowly began to heal, its crystalline surface regenerating under Earth's gentle sunlight. It was a beautiful sight, Sarah thought as she watched from her station window, but it was also a warning. Somewhere out there, the hegemony's fleets were already moving, their commanders calculating vectors toward this insignificant yellow star and its defiant children. They would come expecting to find another easy conquest. Instead, they would find humanity, stubborn, innovative, and utterly unwilling to kneel. Sarah smiled grimly as she returned to her work. They had so much to do, and so little time to do it. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was achieving the impossible under pressure. The race to prepare for humanity's greatest challenge had begun. 6 months after the Lissani arrival, the underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity. Dr. Sarah Chen watched as human and alien scientists worked side by side, racing against time. The crystalline technology of their new allies had proven both beautiful and maddeningly complex. Commander James Rodriguez strode into the lab, his uniform bearing the newly created Earth Defense Force insignia. "How's our progress, Doctor?" Sarah gestured to the holographic display where a simulation played out. "The Lissani shield technology is incredible, but it requires materials we can barely produce. We're looking at protecting maybe 3 cities, not an entire planet. Then we protect what we can and fight like hell for the rest." Rodriguez's voice carried the steady confidence that had earned him command of Earth's first true warship. The Arcturus just completed its first FTL test. "We're not defenseless anymore." A soft chime announced another presence. Kira, the Lissani chief engineer, emerged from her crystalline interface pod. Her translucent skin rippled with patterns of light that humans had learned to read as concern. "The hegemony will not send a mere battle fleet," she warned. "They will bring a purifier." The room fell silent. The Lissani databases had shown what purifier ships could do, how they could crack a planet's crust like an eggshell. But they had also revealed something else. No civilization had ever stood against them with advance warning and preparation. "Then we'll need friends," Sarah said quietly. She pulled up another display, showing transmissions they detected. The Lissani weren't the only ones who ran. There are others out there, hiding in the dark spaces between stars. The hegemonies cast a long shadow, but shadows can hide resistance as well as fear. Rodriguez nodded slowly. "I'll take the Arcturus. We'll find them." Over the next weeks, Earth's first starship ventured into the unknown. They found the Corva, insectoid engineers whose hive minds could solve complex problems in seconds. The Meridians, energy beings who had escaped the hegemony's grasp by abandoning physical form. Each brought new knowledge, new technologies, new hope. But it was the discovery of the nexus that changed everything. Hidden in an artificial pocket of subspace, the ancient station had served as a sanctuary for refugee species for millennia. Its builders were long gone, but they'd left behind technologies that even the hegemony had never mastered. Sarah worked until her vision blurred, integrating each new piece of knowledge. The Corva improved their shield designs. The Meridians taught them ways to detect hegemony ships before they emerged from hyperspace. The Lissani's crystalline tech began to merge with human innovation, creating hybrid systems that neither species could have developed alone. But it wasn't enough. Sarah knew it, even as she watched the first fleet of Earth ships take shape in orbit. The hegemony had conquered 1,000 worlds. Earth was just one planet, even with its newfound allies. Then came the transmission they'd been dreading, a hegemony scout ship at the edge of the solar system. The countdown had begun. "They expect us to run," Kira said, her patterns shifting with determination. "Or to bow down. That is what others have done." Sarah looked around the command center where representatives of 6 different species worked together, united by their refusal to submit. "Then let's show them something new." The next days were a blur of activity. The Arcturus led a series of lightning raids, using Meridian sensor tech to strike hegemony supply lines. The Corva hive minds coordinated global defense grids. Lissani crystals powered weapons that humans had designed but never dared to build. When the hegemony fleet finally arrived, led by the massive form of a purifier, they found not a cowering primitive world, but a system bristling with defenses. Refugee ships emerged from hiding, their crews choosing to stand with Earth rather than flee again. The Purifier's commander opened a channel, his translated voice dripping with contempt. Your resistance is noted, but futile. Submit now, and your species may yet serve a purpose in the greater order. Sarah watched from the command center as Rodriguez transmitted humanity's response, not in words, but in action. The Arcturus led the charge, its hybrid systems confounding hegemony targeting computers. Earth's defenders had fewer ships, but they fought with the desperation of those who had everything to lose. The battle was about to begin, and with it, the true test of whether humanity's defiance could become something more than a doomed last stand. Sarah touched the crystalline pendant Kira had given her, a symbol of trust between their peoples, and prepared herself for whatever came next. They were about to show the galaxy that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't the biggest empire or the most advanced technology. Sometimes it's simply the stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The first shots of the battle lit up space like new stars being born. Sarah watched from Earth Command as the Arcturus led humanity's defensive fleet in an intricate dance of advance and retreat, drawing the hegemony forces into carefully planned killing zones. Commander Rodriguez's voice crackled through the quantum comm, steady despite the chaos around him. Meridian sensors confirm their targeting systems can't get a lock through our electronic warfare suite. The hybrid shields are holding. But the Purifier hadn't moved yet. It hung at the edge of the system like a sword waiting to fall, its vast bulk dwarfing even the largest hegemony battleships. Sarah knew they couldn't let it get close enough to use its planet-killing weapons. Multiple hyperspace signatures. A Corva operator chittered urgently. New vessels emerging. Sarah's heart sank as more hegemony ships appeared, but then Kira's patterns flashed with joy. Those are not hegemony signatures. From tiers in space emerged a ragtag fleet of vessels, ships belonging to species that had hidden from the hegemony for generations, now choosing to make their stand alongside Earth. The resistance that humanity had helped spark was becoming a revolution. All ships, this is Admiral Chan of the Earth Defense Force. A new voice rang out across all frequencies. Coordinate with our allies. Remember your training. Today we prove that tyranny's greatest weakness is believing its own inevitability. The battle transformed. Refugee ships that had seemed outdated and weak revealed hidden weapons, technologies the hegemony had never encountered because they'd been developed in secret over centuries. The Corva hive minds coordinated strategies faster than any traditional command structure could respond. But the Purifier finally moved. Its massive form accelerated toward Earth, shrugging off attacks like rain. All defense platforms, concentrate fire, Sarah ordered, knowing it wouldn't be enough. Then Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos. We found it, Doctor. The flaw in their design that you theorized. The Purifier's power core, it's exactly where you predicted. Sarah's mind raced. The hegemony's technological advancement had made them arrogant. They'd used the same basic designs for millennia, never expecting anyone to be able to threaten them. But the combined knowledge of multiple refugee species, paired with humanity's fresh perspective, had revealed patterns they'd never noticed. Arcturus, you'll only get one shot, she warned. The targeting solution has to be perfect. Then it's a good thing we have the best gunner in the fleet, Rodriguez replied. Lieutenant Ahmed, whenever you're ready. The Arcturus accelerated directly toward the Purifier, seeming to attempt a suicidal ramming maneuver. The massive ship's weapons tracked to intercept, exactly as planned. At the last possible moment, the Earth vessel executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, its hybrid drives pushing the limits of physics. A single shot from the Arcturus's main gun, powered by Lysani crystals, guided by Meridian sensors, calculated by Corva minds, and built by human hands, struck the Purifier's power core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to twist as the mighty vessel's containment fields collapsed. The Purifier, pride of the hegemony fleet, broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions. Silence fell across all channels. The remaining hegemony ships froze, their commanders seemingly unable to process what they'd just witnessed. The indestructible had been destroyed. The invincible had fallen. "This is Admiral Chan to all hegemony vessels." The transmission carried pure steel. "Your purifier is gone. Your supply lines are cut. You are alone in hostile space. Consider your next actions very carefully." One by one, the hegemony ships began powering down their weapons, not surrendering. The Empire's indoctrination ran too deep for that, but withdrawing. They would carry word back to their masters. The galaxy had changed. In Earth Command, Sarah finally allowed herself to breathe. They had won the battle, but she knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony wouldn't take this defeat lightly. They would return with more ships, new weapons, desperate to crush this spark of rebellion before it could spread. But looking around at the faces of her human colleagues working seamlessly alongside their alien allies, Sarah felt only hope. The hegemony had spent millennia building an empire on fear and isolation. In just months, humanity had helped forge something stronger. A coalition built on trust, cooperation, and the shared dream of freedom. "The hegemony fleet is in full retreat," Rodriguez reported. "Should we pursue?" "No," Sarah replied, already thinking ahead to the next challenge. "Let them run. Let them tell their masters what they saw here. Let them wonder what else we might be capable of." Because that was humanity's true strength. Not the weapons they could build or the allies they could gather, but their ability to imagine a better future and their determination to make it real, no matter the odds. The Nexus Station's central chamber hummed with energy as representatives from dozens of species gathered. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Earth, and the ripples of that victory had spread across the galaxy. Sarah stood with Commander Rodriguez and Kira, watching as former enemies became cautious allies. The hegemony's grip is weakening. A Meridian delegate pulsed, their energy forms shimming with excitement. 3 more systems have declared independence in the past week alone. But Sarah noticed the concern in Rodriguez's expression. "They're being too quiet," he said. "The Empire should have retaliated by now." "They are preparing something," Kira agreed, her crystalline patterns shifting darkly. "The question is what?" The answer came sooner than anyone expected. A Corvus scout ship burst from hyperspace, its hive mind broadcasting urgent warnings. The hegemony hadn't been idle. They'd been building. Not just ships, but something far worse. They call it the Singularity Engine, the Corvid data stream revealed. A weapon designed to collapse the quantum barriers between normal space and the void. They plan to use Earth as an example, to tear apart the very fabric of reality around the planet. The chamber erupted in panic. Such a weapon wouldn't just destroy Earth. It could unravel the structure of space-time itself, creating a cascade that would threaten the entire sector. "How long do we have?" Rodriguez demanded. "Their fleet gathers at the Empire's core. They will strike within days." Sarah studied the technical data the Corva had stolen, her mind racing. "This is wrong," she muttered, drawing curious looks. "The physics, it's all wrong." She expanded the holographic display, highlighting specific sections of the weapon's design. "Look at these power signatures. They're not just building a weapon. They're trying to replicate something ancient." Kira moved closer, her patterns shifting rapidly as she analyzed the data. "The crystalline matrices, they're similar to artifacts we found, remnants of technologies that predate even the hegemony." The precursors, a new voice joined them. An elderly Meridian scholar drifted forward. "We know so little about them, except that they vanished eons ago, leaving behind only fragments of their works." Sarah's eyes widened as pieces clicked into place. "That's it. The hegemony didn't develop their technology naturally. They found it, reverse engineered it. That's why they never innovate, never truly advance. They're just copying what they don't fully understand. And now they seek to replicate the precursor's greatest weapons." The Meridian scholar pulsed grimly, without understanding the safeguards that must have existed. Rodriguez straightened. "Then we stop them. Not just for Earth, but for everyone. It's not that simple, Sarah countered. We can't match their numbers, even with our allies. A direct assault would be suicide. Then we do what humans do best. Rodriguez smiled grimly. We find another way. The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. While the combined fleet of resistance forces would engage the hegemony armada, a smaller team would infiltrate the Empire's core facility, where the Singularity engine was being constructed. The Arcturus, now equipped with prototype stealth systems developed by the Corva, would lead the infiltration team. Sarah found herself aboard despite Rodriguez's initial protests. No one else understood the complex physics involved well enough to determine how to safely disable the weapon. As they prepared to depart, Kira approached Sarah with a small crystalline object. This contains all of my people's remaining knowledge of precursor technology. Use it well. The journey to the Empire's heart was tense. The Arcturus slipped through hegemony space like a ghost, its presence masked by technologies that hadn't existed months ago. They emerged in orbit around a massive artificial construct, the hegemony's central research facility. Remember, Sarah briefed the strike team, we're not just here to destroy the weapon. We need to understand it. The hegemony's been running from their own inadequacy for millennia, desperately trying to reclaim glories they never truly earned. It's time to show them a different path. As alarms blared announcing the arrival of the resistance fleet, Sarah led her team through the facility's winding corridors. The hegemony's overconfidence worked in their favor. They'd never expected anyone to reach this far. What they found in the central chamber stopped them all cold. The Singularity engine wasn't just a weapon, it was a key. A key to understanding why the precursors had vanished, and what they'd been trying to prevent. They weren't building weapons, Sarah whispered, reading the ancient data with growing horror. They were building shields. The void between universes, something lives there, something that hungers. The precursors sacrificed themselves to seal the barriers. Now the hegemony, in their blind quest for power, was about to undo those ancient sacrifices. And humanity, along with their newfound allies, stood as the last line of defense against horrors beyond imagination.